Hey everybody, how we doing? We are back, and in the meantime, I've done a little bit of work here. This silliness. Hold on. Now it wants me to change orientation. One of these days, I will understand YouTube's uh, weird little setups. We'll get there. Until now, we'll just suffer through with this. But anyhow, I did get the decals to finally settle down a little bit. They're not great. I get better lighting here. I think if I was going to do another one of these, I might just file those all off and lay the decals down flat, or just dry brush them on. Follow the decals as a guide. But once it gets buttoned up, I did put the seat belts in. They're a little oversized, but they'll sell. So that's going to be the next step, is to get that in, to get the propeller painted, and we'll put the spinner on. That's going to be the final gray-green color. So the props I did in, where did it go? The props are RLM 70 black green, which is my go-to for German props. And then my first base color is going to be this gray green RLM 74. And then the splinter camo will be the 71. So I'm just saying 71, 74 splinter camo. Like I said, I've got to custom mix up my blue. But yeah, I'll take care of all that once we get it assembled. I got the MG71 machine guns that'll go in the nose. Got them all dry brushed up. I did get the nose cowling painted. So these, once I clip them off, will end up just sticking out of the gun ports. Looks like that one got bent. Oh, they go this way. So anyhow, we'll get them sticking out of the gun ports. Not sure if this is going to get stay. I like the crispness of the panel line. Also got the bottom air intake painted. I know they wanted it blue, but it's going to be white because that's basically going to be the front of the aircraft with the exhaust right there. If you remember, it's got white. I got the top gray color on the canopy and started to take some of the masking off. I'll get to that later. Hey, Thygo, how are you? Hope you're enjoying the build. It's going to be pretty boring watching me build stuff and knock stuff off my table, but I'm just kind of doing a quick review. The exhausts, I like painting like an armor brown color, so they're kind of rusty. They're pretty rudimentary, but those will go on last. Also decided to put the flaps in, and I have the flaps down, so I'm on the ground, which means the leading edge slats will be deployed. So once I get this all masked off and painted, I'll have to come back and hit this area and this area. It's hard to see this area and this area with the RLM 02 when I do these guys. Now I've got the radiators in place. Yeah, that's glued in, but it feels a little wiggly. I have to touch that with some glue. Yeah, and the counterweights. And we are ready to see if we can get this body put together. Let me get my instructions out. I don't know what I did with them, but pretty much, oh, here they are. So where we are is way, way, way back because we've been jumping around trying to get things done ahead. I usually do this when I build stuff. Sorry for the noise. So we've got got this done. Now we need to do this. I'm not going to put these in. They'll go in last. So I'll get these assembled and I'll put the little air scoop on. I don't think I have that cut off the sprue yet, to be honest with you. There's that sprue. That sprue. Well, let's get them glued up. Yeah, over here, handy dandy Tamiya tape ready to go. So let's clean up the desktop just a little bit. Keep things from getting lost. Paint the wheels later. Hey, Adam. Gun sight. Let's see what we can get done here. Again, building in front of the camera is not as easy as one would think. So, get my readers on because I'm old. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a little sanding stick. Just going to take something spilled over here. Oh, I know what that is. Let me get a fresh sanding stick here. This way, take some of the overspray off so that I get really good adherence. Plastic on plastic. Okay. So the instructions, this is kind of interesting because it has some flex to it. So what we're going to start with is we're just going to interference fit it. So we know that we want that situation. You know what I got to do before I even do that? And the decal, there is some film right in here. I got to cut that away because that's where our gun sight's going to sit when we get to that point. So like I was saying, we want to get the instrument cluster up to there, which leaves the seat. You just got to squeeze it and it'll snap right into place. I'll come back and just, again, a little dab of glue. Let the glue wick in and do its job. Put it back here. Have it there. Make sure it's up against, it moved. That's the only thing I wish Tamiya had done is put some locators on the bottom right there. That flush. Now I will come back and paint this the appropriate color. And those two little knockouts there for the canopy. I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit. Let the glue flash off. And now we should be ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dab some glue in there, dab some glue there. Because I won't have an opportunity to come back in and hit this. And this has got, we're going to start at the front, work our way back. So first things first. If we get this lined up right, it should just snap together. All right, a little help if I put my reading glasses on so my old eyes can actually see what they're supposed to be doing. Trust me, the real classy build videos make this look easy because they're doing just what I'm doing, but they're editing out all the fumbles and misalignments, making it look like it goes in, boom, first time, every time. So I'll leave the back. What I'm going to do, come in here. Again, let the glue do the work. Sound like a broken record, I know. Pinch it. Let that glue do the bonds. There. That weld right there. And now, get ourselves a piece of tape. Bang. That'll hold that while that glues. And now we want a nice tight seam. And there is a seam on the real panel seam on the real airplane that runs down the back. You should be able to see that glue go right in there. So we don't want to come back and sand that down. You don't have to. A piece of tape. And why do we have that little seam right there? That might need a little putty right there. Let's see if I can help it. And we'll come along the bottom. You can see this has got really, really nice tight seam. And this kit just falls together. I'm really impressed. It's pretty simplistic. It may not be super highly detailed like an Edwards, but this is my first Tamiya 148th airplane. So there, I'm gonna let that sit. So, on the other things I do, excuse me, is worked on painting the tail up. So if you give me a few seconds. Since this is going to be a Swiss plane, it's simple crosses for camo. What I'm going to do is work on getting that prepped. The little cross right there. Boom. So we see that wants to go. So I took some Tamiya tape, scanned in these crosses and other camouflage bits. That's wax papery here going there. And so that's going to be the front. Let's see if I can get this lined up. Check my reference photo. Cross sits right across the bottom there. And it's still sitting a little high. So before I burnish it off, that feels too big, but it looks right. And then it looks a little crooked. There's one. Ta-da. I'll grab the other one. So we may be able to paint this tonight. His tail is just red and white. So just give you an idea. It should fit. Stuck. Okay, so why don't we let that cure? And I'll go a little loud. Since I'm not going to thin down the red at all, I'm just going to use RLM 23 red. And I was not planning on doing any painting, so it'll protect our surface here. Shouldn't need a whole lot of paint for this because the whole tail is red. Yep. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now just to protect the fingers because I'm not gloved up. All right, here we go. Just a little pressure is. Oh, it's a little too high. Where am I? All right, here we go, folks. We'll see how this goes. What I like to do is just kind of get a light spritz around tape, and then just air just to dry it. Come back on this side. My airbrush has been acting up lately. It needs a good cleaning. Flash off that. Now that edge should be sealed in there pretty good. Make sure we get underneath. Top. And these little tabs are not, they're just structural for the kit, not for the plane. That little compressor, man, I've had that thing for like 10 years. I think it's finally on its last legs. I'm going to set this aside. You can go off for now. And just for any of you newbies, I learned this a long time ago. I got one of these little hook squirt bottles, just plain old water, and just drive that in there until you start seeing the water come out clear. out of the cup. And then I'll fill it up. Turn the nasty old compressor back on, crank up the pressure, and then over my clean out pot. Just blast. That way the water is always going through where the needle is. It's cleaning out the needle, never back flush. That just takes paint and gunk back up inside the airbrush, which will dry out, cause you more problems in the long run. So now, see how this quite clean? I see some red coming, so there was some paint stuck back in there. I'm just taking on a paper towel and just see it's still red. There's still paint in there. This airbrush has been abused the last couple of days. And it probably would help if I was using warm water instead of room temp or even hot water, but that'll be the end of the night. I'll clean them up good. Might even run some isopropyl alcohol through it. Airbrush abuse, nah. See, nice and clean now. Airbrush abuse is back flushing, mixing in the cup. Oh, cheap Chinese compressor. Alrighty. That's had a bit of time to dry. I like if I can get the stencils off sooner than later. See again if we can do this without hitting our head on the lights or scratching everything off. I just started this week with this challenge. I don't know if I'll be doing them forever because this is a lot harder than it looks trying to do everything in front of the camera. Here we go. Boom. That looks pretty sweet. Not the best, but I'll take that over a decal any darn day. There we go. Let that fully flash off and cure. Now, this monstrosity should be cured. Save that for later. So we're probably going to have some really light putty work because these seams really, it almost snapped together. There we go. Yeah, I always have a problem with that seam right there, so any oodles. So like I said, where we were, we got this sucker together. I got to get that air cleaner, and then we got to put the wings on. So let's see how the wings are going to fit. The critical part is right back here. We want, oh, I'm telling you, Tamiya, this is so much nicer than working with Airfix crap. And I like this scale. My old man eyes are really loving this scale. All right, let's get these out of the way. And I will be back momentarily. Need to get some supports. I'll hold the plane up. That means it's time to go grab the old 1, 2, 3 blocks. So let's see if we can get this to. I heard it snap in a good way, not like plastic breaking. Get that dihedral just right. Work from the front to the back. The hard part going live here is not being able to edit out all the wait time for stuff to dry. Well, that's not any fun right there. Let's see if we can help it out. Locking this in. This is probably going to need some putty. Everybody's design needs a little putty work right there. Let that dry. All right, let's see what we got on the top side. Yeah. Be happy with a little better stick there. I may have to come back and putty that because that doesn't seem to want to be sitting just right. Yeah, that's sitting down there. Why are you not cooperating? Everything else has been a dream build except for this one side. Just doesn't. I must have something out of alignment. Oh, there we go. See, something out of alignment. Now, let gravity do the work for us. And we're gonna have to putty a little bit, but there's very few plain builds you're not puttying there. All right, so let's get our blocks out. In fact, here's what we're going to do. Turn it around. Cool beans. Didn't know you left, man. I've been focusing on trying to get the model built. But welcome back, all the same. All right. Stretch out the back. Find our empty sprue. And so on this kit, the E3, this is a standard European. Since we're in Switzerland, we'll use this turbocharger intake. It has an extra cleaner on it. This is what they used in the Africa core. So I got an Edwards. I don't know if that's an E or a G. No, that's an F. I just looked over. And that's going to be done in desert. So that'll have this. It'll be in 1/72. That'll be later this summer. So I don't need this part. Not going to use it. And we know we're going to need these guys. I like how I have different numbers on them, but it's kind of like if you can't figure out that these little ailerons go in the back, you got problems, man. We need these. And these are the struts. Hold it in place. We'll leave those attached so I don't bend them. I think the only thing left in this frame is the radio antenna. right there. Here you can see 1996, 96. So this kit is coming up on what, 30 years old? It's not that old. I won't be needing that. It's everything off of frame A. We are making headway. So now, like we've talked about before, do your fine work as best you can off the sprue. It's not making me happy. Get away from her surface. And whenever you snip, you're going to get that white. That's just the plastic reacting to the stresses. That might require a little putty to rebuild that. Sand it out okay. That one got much better. So let's get, this is what we came for, messing around with those things. Tell you what, this is going to require the hobby knife. There we go. I think that's going to be fine just as it is. So this is going to be a real easy add. Even without the front cowling, I think, because that has its own little spot right there. Hang on, folks. Where did I move all the white parts to? Right here, they're upside down. Of course, you can't see them. All right, so I think if I glue this, this is where dry fitting pays off. Again, if you're making a video, you would just edit all this out. Live stream, you get to see all the boo-boos. That's fitting in there right nice. So I don't think those are mutually exclusive. Nice. Set them down. Get it right where I want it. Get a little bit of glue. And just let it wick its way in. It's nice and just extra thin. Now the only tricky part is I will probably paint this camouflage first. Yeah, it's going to require some putty. He'll fix that in post-production, as they say. All right, let's see. These should be pretty easy to put in. I'm looking for some mold line seams, and I don't see any. All right, let's go to the instructions. Make sure there isn't any tricks that we haven't paid attention to. Flaps, yeah. Sometimes they'll tell you to put this part in first, but looks like it's pretty straightforward. All right, so we got this little hole for the strut. So let's get the struts out. Hang over there. Your garbage. Yeah. So I am going to just got an orientation 6 and 7. It's pretty easy to figure out which one's which, I think. One, two attachment points on the sprue. So we're going to take care of that and that. And then it should just be sandpaper. I guess if I was a professional live streamer, I would have had all just pre-prepped and then you just watch me glue it together. Easier to take care of this before you attach it. Apparently, taping around this in 1/72 is always a big pain in the butt. Still feel it. If you can feel it, you're going to see it. My goal tonight is to get all the major components on, and I'll tape off the canopy. So this one, these are always tricky. So here's what I'm going to do. I'll start with just a touch of glue there on the little trim tab. And that's going to go right there. And this little beast is going to go where I put the glue. And that whole bit has got to fit right in there. Bam. Once we get that seated properly up there. Oh, I had it. I had it, folks. I had to go and mess with it. So these should end up level with the ground. There we go. One to go. Like I said, so my goal tonight is to get that other tab on and get everything taped up so I can prime it. And for this one from, let's see. Yeah, the top wing comes into that first cover box. So we'll be doing, most of the wing will be primed white. The rest will be prime it black or gray. Yeah, and this time I did see that outside seam or mold line, so I need to clean that up on the other piece. I got so focused on this attachment point, I didn't clean up what I should have been looking at, the part you're going to see when I paint it. Yeah, I know what you meant by modeled. No, Vallejo, I've done it before. Usually if I'm going to model, I'll stipple it. But this is the plane that I'm making. So there's no modeling. All right. right, so now this has got to sit because, of course, I was chatting with you guys, wasn't paying much attention to what I was doing, and I snapped it. So it's not on the 1, 2, 3 block. Dead flat. Make sure the final pictures are from the starboard side, or from the port side, not the starboard side. Come on. I don't know why you would think Vallejo paints would be any different than any other acrylic paint for modeling. I actually prefer them. I like them a lot. I like the colors they use, the pigmentation. It all seems to work. Alrighty. So now that I've snapped that piece off, I gotta let that cure. The only thing left to do is just doing some finish up work. It's gonna be kind of boring to watch. So I may end this live stream early and come back in the morning and show you where I am. Like I said, we do have prop and the spinner done. I can get it off the tape. So that's gonna. Sometimes I forget to put it in front of the camera. So I know there's a rubber piece that goes in there to hold it in place. Tamiya likes her little spinners to spin, but I usually just glue them in place. So here we go. I'm going to work on that tonight, get that set. All right. I am presently pleased where I am. I know I'm going to need some putty here. No, they're not. Mr. 909. No. They are all cut on the Cricut machine. So I got the stripers over there and I'm going to paint them on. You must have come a little late because we just did the tail. And it's just painted on. Yeah. Whenever I have simple designs like that, I'd rather paint them on, even if they've got some little character flaws. It's 1/48 scale. I've been doing a lot with 1/72, so it's nice. The hardest part for me, stenciling without decals, is going to be this number here. We tried cutting the J-307, and it did not cut well. So I'm going to work with the wife tomorrow on our Cricut machine and try to get this and try and get rid of a 0. So maybe like 317 or something like that. So I don't have to get that O in the 0. Yeah. Well, next part will probably be sometime tomorrow when we're getting around the paint and stuff, unless I decide I can get things cleaned up here and paint tomorrow. Anyhow, I hope you guys all have a good night. That was an hour. I'm going to go focus on cleaning up my airbrush and letting the glue dry and getting the smaller parts put together. And I will see you guys when I see you. Hey, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you later. Have a good night, everybody.